Part 1. So, what are we doing here? Fun? I think that's what I'm doing here. I mean, I have my reasons outside of fun. It really stems from my intense dislike of ending explained videos. I thought it'd be nice to start with something more endearing, like fun, than to jump right into hating on something, but honestly, I am utterly incensed by ending explained videos. I don't know what it is about them, but anytime I see one, it drives me up the wall. That's a lie. I know why. I just had to think on it for more than half a second. It's because I always see them for big Hollywood movies, and I watch a lot of movies, so I have seen some of these Hollywood movies. I've then watched the videos and experienced the narrator explaining the ending of the film to me, but they just explain what happened at the end of the film, and yeah, that was what happened. That was the end of the movie. You didn't explain anything, you just summarized what happened at the end, and it honestly kills me. The ending of most big blockbusters are relatively straightforward. I'm not going to sit back and say they can't be deconstructed. They absolutely can, but I'm going to say that 75% of the time, what you're seeing on the surface is probably what was intended, right? So there was something that felt very insulting to me about these ending explained videos. Even for something that was straightforward, they felt like they removed the possibility of an alternative understanding for how the conclusion played out. And I'm not saying that the actions were different than explained, but there's a lot that goes into these films. Think about it. Many blockbusters cost hundreds of millions of dollars after marketing. Every second of film costs thousands of dollars. Thousands. Snap. Literally like that, $20,000 went into your average Avengers film. And apparently half the universe went with it. Either way. A commitment by hundreds of people or more. Huge investments from a studio. They want it to be so good, you're willing to see it twice, 3 times, and maybe even more. I had a friend see the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie in theaters 12 times. 12. The third one, I will never understand. But that's commercialism, you might say to me. That's the point. They're digestible. The people will go see them. Mindless, hands out for tickets, ass in the seats, and popcorn flowing. But even then, there's a formula. There's a way that the studio creates films because they know it'll get your ass in the seat, because they know that you'll want to follow along with the formula, and if they follow the formula correctly, it could lead them to lots of money. And I'd argue that understanding that formula is, in and of itself, something worthy to explain. I'd even argue that explaining the formula may change the ending explained video because it shows that there's a deeper meaning to the story. Each individual part has been curated by the studio to make sure that you're going to watch it. So there are reasons behind those decisions that they're making, and I think that tells the story itself. Apparatus theory, they know you'll go and watch it because we need entertainment. We need the spectacle of film. It drives us to a state of collective unconsciousness. Being in the dark room, passively looking at images in front of us, it's representative of a dream state where we become open to the powers of suggestion. Why do you think all the biggest superheroes drink Coke? I don't buy into apparatus theory so much, especially not in the today times. Sure, back when film was a spectacle, I could understand assuming it was inherently brainwashing the proletariat into believing whatever it was the studio system wanted to push. And the proletariat is important here because apparatus theory is highly based on Marx's conception of collectivism, social order, and economic power. Rich people go see things like opera and ballet, which don't push an agenda. They're art. Art can't push an agenda, I guess. Film, on the other hand, well, film can be art, but film can be something much more insidious, a far stretch from the enriching nature of musical theater. Whereas musical theater is sort of the go-between. Hell, Hamilton cost $1,000 to see, but that's only a fraction of a second of a big blockbuster, so who's really an influence on culture, am I right? I mean, apparatus theory is often applied because of how it positions the viewer in need of a way to endure and explain, see what I did there, the realities of life. For most apparatus believers, film is the in-between of reality and dreams, a place where we do indeed become most susceptible. So yeah, Home Alone is more important than Swan Lake, I said it. I'd honestly argue this is false equivalencies, but the joke stands, especially if I said Home Alone's cultural power is so far beyond Swan Lake it's rude to compare. I'm getting away from myself here, but I am touching on the thing I want to touch on the most, what we're doing here. I love media. A lot of people do. And a lot of people talk about media and video essays. I'm going to be doing something similar. I'm not going to pretend I'm not, but I'm going to try to push it a little further than just using my cute little drawings as a narrator. I want to talk with you. I want to provide context. I want to look at some topics, some pieces of media, and some theory, and I want to apply them in a way that I hope you'll find fun and engaging. And if I do it right, if I can entertain you even a little bit, I'm hoping that the biggest thing that will come from all of this is your hesitancy to click the next Ending Explained video you see, and instead maybe talk with your friends about what you think happened at the end. And listen, I'm not shaming anyone for looking at Ending Explained videos. That's not what this is. I'm legitimately interested in creating an atmosphere of experimentation and open thought. I want to present ideas that you might not have had or introduce some authors that you might not have heard of. And I want to do this because I truly believe that reading film and media and entertainment is important. Remember when I said that a second of film costs thousands of dollars? And that there's a formula to make sure your ass is in the seat? I want to encourage you to pick at the threads of the formula, to think about why it is we're so compelled to go and see those big budget films. And again, I'm not calling you a zombie for watching Ending Explained videos or seeing blockbusters. I find there to be a lot of merit in all kinds of media, and you should watch what you enjoy. But to quote a special someone some of you may despise for honestly no reason because I've met her and she's very nice, Anita Sarkeesian said we should always be critical of the media that we love, and I love to get critical in a different way. Not only should we consider the problematic elements of the media we enjoy, but we should also think about the implications, the subtext, the things that we love and why we love them. Let's celebrate all the wonderful, horrible, terrible things we see in media. Not to imply feminist frequency doesn't do this, just hoping I can differentiate myself. And I don't mind saying it. There are plenty of blockbusters I love. This isn't some channel that's going to discourage you from doing anything. I'm not trying to sell you any of my theories. I'm not even trying to tell you how it really is. I'm going to just run through what I'm seeing. We'll make fun of some things, maybe even take some satirical stabs at some stuff. I may make a video about an obscure video game or talk to you about the most recent Bjork video because listen, she's wild as hell. The point is to think, not to learn, not to buy in, nothing other than to think about what it is that we're talking about, what we consume, what we love to see, and what we don't. If at the end of one of my videos you're angry, why? Think about it. What is it that made you feel that way? And articulate why you disagree. I want to know. Why do you disagree? Don't just say I'm wrong. Tell me why. And me being wrong is why isn't a good answer. It isn't an argument worth fighting against. Maybe we can tackle that a little bit too. What makes a good argument? What makes a good theory? We should also point out one important part of all of this as well. Sometimes looking at things you love from a different perspective can be difficult, painful sometimes. Listen, the first time I read critical theory about horror films, I thought I was the worst person in the world, but being able to take a moment to step aside and look at what someone else had to say about something that I loved actually gave me a lot of perspective about why I do love horror films. And I don't mean that in the I'm gonna shut down because I don't want to listen kind of way. Fingers in your ears isn't a cute look. I mean it in the, oh shit, I never thought about it like that before, and honestly, I hate what you said, but it does make me love Final Girls even more than I did before. Part 2. Theory. And honestly, bringing up critical theory in Final Girls is probably the best segue I can think of to talk about another key element of what I'm hoping to bring to this channel. Carol J. Clover coined the term Final Girl in her book, Men, Women, and Chainsaws. It was the first piece of critical theory that was pointed straight at my favorite genre. I'm not entirely sure I can encourage reading it now. There's some messy stuff in there, and I don't mean about the horror descriptions. I mostly mean about the outdated language around bisexuality and trans rights. But I knew after reading that book in college that I wanted to be a film theorist. I wanted to redefine that book and take out the icky stuff and replace it with a stronger understanding of cinema from a queer perspective. I'm gay, so that's probably something you're gonna need to be chill with now, because I'm gonna be bringing it up a lot. Super heckin' gay here. Anyway, here's the thing. When you think you're going to go into academia, you're heavily encouraged to pick a side, and then pick a tiny space on that side, and then get really good at that space on that side. Being well-read across a lot of theories doesn't get you prestige, and honestly, getting good at one thing was never my strong suit. I am very good at being very bad at a lot of things, and that works for me. But I love the theory. I loved the in-language, the jargon you needed to read it. It made me feel really powerful, like I could understand stuff that other people couldn't, and then it kind of hit me. And when I say it hit me, I mean a few weeks ago. I've been out of college for 10 years. Nothing was stopping me from reading whatever I wanted, and certainly nothing was stopping me from finally writing about all of those bad shit ideas I had in college that would make my professors turn their heads. To be fair, though, I had some wonderful professors in college that really encouraged me, so the only thing holding me back was me, honestly enough. But what I was once excited about with theory was now difficult. I've lost the muscles to read about it, and it's taken several weeks and several books worth of stuff to even get me back to my freshman level of comprehension. It's been rough, and that's got me thinking as well. I knew where to look. I already had the names. I could at least remember chunks of what was there and what they were talking about to get me through some of the other chunks. But a lot of people don't have a college education. Absolutely no shame there either. Partially because of time or money, both, unfortunately, invaluable resources for us, and some folks lack the access. Access is key here. Some folks much smarter than me talk about how theory is designed with academia in mind. Many theorists are people that have been in academia for their entire careers, and they write with that audience in mind. That singling out a space on one side allows them a deep knowledge, but it makes it inaccessible for people that aren't part of that world. The other problem is a lot of theorists write about how if people just followed their theories and read them, the world would be a better place, or at least understanding would be more complete. Be complete has quotes around it there. A hard ask, right? When a lot of people don't have access to the resources necessary to even learn some of the theorists' names. People, again, a lot smarter than me, have called this the commodification of knowledge. You gotta have money to learn the thing that academia claims are most important to intellectual thought. The sucky thing is, one of the most important things theory gives us is context. I mentioned context earlier. Well, theory also demands that you bring a little context with you. What I mean is, if you're coming to read something by Christian Metz, we'll talk about him in a later video, I'm sure, with a little bit of Freudian psychoanalytics, and damn do these people love Freud, he'll give you Levi-Strauss, Marx, some Lacan and Saussure. The context can allow for a really deep understanding of all different types of visual storytelling, and it opens up a new language for you to understand how to read film. You starting to understand that whole commodification of knowledge thing? Well, fuck that. I'm no college professor, but I've got some emotional baggage and a list of old theory books rotting in my garage. I want to talk about theory, some if absolutely outrageous, and apply it in fun ways, difficult ways, maybe even incorrect ways. I really want Carol J. Clover to hate me at the end of this. And again, I'm applying theory because I want to, because I think it's fun to position my discussions against something that's, at its core, obtuse and kind of annoying. It doesn't mean you have to do the same should the time come that you want to have conversations like this with others. But what I am saying is reading or engaging in something about your interest that's kind of out of your depth or your worldview can help you understand why you like things you like a little more. Just thought I should reiterate that. And listen, I want to bring some of those voices to you from across a range of disciplines, see what these folks can bring to the table, and how we can simmer some of it into context that makes sense for you and for me. Because Jesus, thank God Googling things is as easy as it is, because half the time I have no idea what these people are saying. But I don't want to stop there. I can tell you one thing. Whenever I learned about the hero's journey from Joseph Campbell, I learned it better and in 10 tweets by Buttsex6969 talking about the character arc they wrote for the 8th chapter of their supernatural fanfiction. And I mean it. That may not be the person's actual screen name, but certainly their thoughts, their arguments. I truly believe that amazing theory comes from everywhere, not just boarded up behind university libraries. There are amazing people out there applying what they've learned from simply engaging in ways that absolutely astound me. So let's give some credit where credit's due. A key rule there, always cite your sources, kids. If this channel's about encouraging growth and thinking, you should always give credit where credit is due. Part 3. A conclusion. I'm not really sure what else to say, honestly. If we're talking about arguments, the conclusion should never be a rehash. It should be a definitive close to whatever it was you were trying to get across. Shit, what was I trying to get across? Testing my voice? Probably more than anything. An explanation of what I'm planning on doing? I think it's good. I mean, we did talk a bunch about context just a second ago, so having some of that for what we're going to be doing here is probably a good thing. Also, like, editing, learning how to use a microphone. I need to get my little drawings to match up, figure out how to actually splice together audio, and then get this shit posted. That's going to be the hard part because I have no idea what I'm doing. Honestly, if you're hearing this at all, it's a miracle. Not only did I overcome my inexperience with building videos, but I also overcame whatever self-doubt it was I had about posting that. And you know what? I'm going to take it. A win's a win. In a solid summation of literary theory, Jonathan Culler says that to interpret a work of art, one has to find meaning. But to find meaning, we often have to look at the context of the work to best understand how to find meaning. That it might not live with the author, but by any number of combinations of situations that led us to that point of interpretation. To quote, meaning is context bound, but context is boundless. Let's try to explain an ending that may live underneath the already explained ending. Your experiences can help shape what something means simply because you have the ability to view it in a different way than anyone else. Your context is not my context, and that's exciting. I guess I might have to leave you with this because I did mention it earlier. Marx, right? A big thinker, him. An influence on a lot of theorists and theories we'll be talking about. I know the guy has a bad rap, particularly in the United States, which is where I'm from. The central thesis of this particular video was to encourage you to go on this little ride with me, right? To think outside your box, what you're used to. Marx believed in individual power, sure, but his major theory concerned itself with the power of the individuals coming together towards a common goal. Imagine if we could carve out our own little part of the internet where it's totally cool for you to think about things you'd never really thought about before, to come into a space where you check your preconceived notions at the door, including how you might think about others, other people that are coming here to do the same thing. Sometimes it's okay to be challenged. Being uncomfortable is not an attack. Sometimes it's growth. You know, that guy Marx, he wasn't so bad. Just wait until you hear what I've got to say about Batman. Until we examine new things, I'll see you around.